We've talked previously how, when you're out of the box, you think of others as people, and how, when you're in the box, you think of them as objects. We've also talked about how, when we're in the box, we want to blame others, and then they want to blame us back, which invites them into the box. That destructive cycle of finding justification in each other is called collusion. Lou was deep inside his box, but Lou, like most of us, was completely blind to his own box. He had taken his wife for granted, his son had lived in a constant cloud of blame and was now in a youth correctional facility, and at work where Lou was CEO, his best and brightest employees were quitting. Lou's boxes were destroying everything he cared about. At the youth correctional facility, the counselors taught Lou about being out of the box, and Lou finally saw his boxes towards others and regretted how he had treated them. He desired to be out of the box towards others, and he learned how to get out and stay out. When you're feeling that you want to be out of the box for someone, in that moment, you're already out. You're seeing them as a person. But the trick is to stay out of the box. How can we do that? Well, first let's talk about what doesn't work. What about trying to change others? You need to be different. The problem is, their problems aren't the reason you're in the box. Everyone needs to improve, and you trying to change others will invite them into their own box. What if we just cope with the other person's issues then? Just put up with the things that bug you. Whatever, you can just be a jerk and wreck everything while I try to ignore you. No, that's just a way to continue blaming them. What if you just leave? The problem here is that your box goes with you. Even when that person isn't with you, your self-justifying feelings are. Sometimes we will need to leave a situation. But it won't be sufficient. You will still have your box. What about communication? Surely that's the answer. But if you're communicating while you're in the box, what are you communicating? You're being a jerk. You're the reason for everything bad. Blame, blame, blame. Well, can't we learn new skills? If we use those skills while in the box, how effective will they be? If you smile as you talk to someone you think is an object, then they'll be able to tell you don't mean it. Here's the trick. It's not a behavior that's going to get you out of the box, because the box is not in your actions. It's in your heart and mind. Bud was in the box towards his wife. He was actively resisting the thought that she was a person. You can be in the box towards some people and out of the box towards others. For instance, Lou provided an out-of-the-box environment for Bud. In other words, Bud and Lou saw each other as people. Bud listened to Lou, who taught Bud about being in the box, which invited Bud to question whether or not he was blind to boxes he might be in. Bud was able to consider his relationship with his wife more clearly. The more we are part of out-of-the-box situations, the more we can shed light on the in-the-box justifications we are carrying. This is how we get out of boxes. If we have someone who we are out of the box with, and they help remind us of other people's humanity, hey, guess what? Everyone else is a person too. Everyone? Yep. That can make it so we're not blind to our own boxes. What about that one jerk on social media? Yes, even they are a person. And hopefully the humanity of those people will call out to you through your box until you don't want to have a box towards them anymore. I should see him as a person. And poof, in that moment, the box is gone. That can get us out of the box, but we need to stay out. How? It's actually simpler than you think. When we get an impression to help someone, we need to honor that feeling instead of having self-betrayal. That is the key to staying out of the box. When we're out of the box, we see others with needs, hopes, and worries as real and legitimate as our own. That's going to affect us. We will get a feeling of something we desire to do to help them. And when that happens, we need to act on that feeling. To have to do everything that pops into your head for others may seem overwhelming, but consider this. When you're driving to work, usually you're in the box towards some of those cars. After all, cars aren't people, right? But if you think of them as people, you need to be honoring your impressions to help others. But this pretty much only refers to cars that are close to you. You probably won't cut people off. You will drive more safely, more considerately. You might even smile more. This out-of-the-box mentality is not actually overwhelming. In fact, it's freeing. It takes more emotional energy to be mad at the other drivers. Being in the box is what's overwhelming. Getting out of the box also means you may need to let go of prejudices. For example, we need to think of those of different races, religions, politics, and cultures as people. What? You're a person? But you are going to run into people who mistreat you. It's possible to recognize that someone might be a problem without being in the box towards them. You can even assign responsibility for something to someone. When you're out of the box, you can recognize what responsibilities you personally have and if you have or have not fulfilled them. And you can also recognize what responsibilities others have. Sometimes, issues will be completely your responsibility. For example, if your daughter is driving your car and the tires are bald, if you have not taught her to check the tires and she hydroplanes in a rainstorm and wrecks the car, if you're out of the box, you'll recognize that it's your fault. Other times, people can be jointly responsible for a problem. Let's say your daughter is driving your car and you know the brake fluid leaks. While she's driving, the brake warning light comes on, but she ignores it, keeps on driving, and then crashes. If you're out of the box, you will recognize that you should have fixed the brake fluid leak, and she should have stopped driving when the warning light came on. And there are even times when the responsibility for the issue is not in your control at all. Let's say that same daughter is driving a car you have maintained, and you know she has been taught to pay attention to warnings, but she gets into an accident while driving through a red light. That was not your responsibility. Nuh-uh-uh, careful, because you are always responsible for your own emotions. She did not make you be angry. When you're out of the box, when you assign responsibility, it doesn't feel personal or offensive, but is actually helping someone. Assigning responsibility while out of the box is entirely different than blaming when you're in the box. While you're inside, you are making an excuse for your own role in a problem under the disguise of blaming others. Isn't it far better to be able to recognize others' boxes without blaming them for being in the box? I see you have a box. You must be a person. We need to take responsibility for our own failings. I know, I have boxes too. I'm trying though. Now that we know about boxes, we have a little knowledge. But a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing. We can't go around pointing out everyone's boxes so we can blame them. Knowing about self-deception doesn't get you out of the box. Living it does. We need to learn how we can be helpful to others, even those who have big, thick boxes. This has been part 3 of a 3-part summary of the book, Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. Don't forget to click the subscribe button.